I'm Dr. Ann Larson, and I'm the Chief Academic Officer for Nexford University. Thank you for joining our session today. Effective for September 1st, we will be requiring learners to use AI ethically and effectively in our online courses. We will share more about that during this session. If you have questions during the presentation, please enter them into the chat. Over to you, Jamie Beth.
Thank you, Anne. I hope you can all hear me clearly. So, everyone, hi and welcome. I am Jamie, Director of Learner Success, and today we are going to talk about something that's transforming industries, as of you all are aware, even classrooms, and that is, of course, artificial intelligence. You're all aware, of course, that at Nexford rather, our mission is always to prepare you for the skills of tomorrow. And this session is all about that, helping you understand why AI is an important part of your journey here, what we expect from you as a learner, and where you can find the tools and resources that you will need to succeed. So at the end of the session, our goal is for you not just to understand what we're doing with AI, but also why it matters for you and your career. So at the slide that we're currently showing, you'll see here the new hiring trends or standard that we have actually recently conducted. You'll probably notice how quickly AI is being adopted everywhere. It's from the healthcare industry to finance to creative industries and even to customer service. And employers right now, they don't see AI as optional anymore. In fact, in what you're seeing in our screen, in a recent survey that we conducted for professionals and hiring managers, 26% of them said that AI fluency is already a baseline requirement. And 35% of them are actually actively looking for AI experience on their resumes. And 37% they prefer candidates from programs that integrate rather AI into their coursework. So if we're going to look at it, it's very clear. Both employers and even learners like you right now are expecting AI to be part of the skill set. And that is why at Nexford, we are making AI integration a core part of your learning journey. Okay? So as part of course, Nexford's institutional goals, AI is now being placed right alongside core skills like communication, critical thinking, problem solving, all of this. Now, this means that it's no longer, or it's not treated just as a side project. It's not an elective. It is a fundamental skill that we believe every learner like you should have. And this also means that you are expected to move beyond the beginner level to at least an intermediate level, wherein you are aware how to apply the AI tools responsibly in your studies, in your projects, and of course, eventually in your workplace. Think of it as fluency. It's not just about knowing how AI works, what AI can do, but being able to apply them, to use them thoughtfully and effectively in real world contexts. Okay, so in relation to that, we've also updated Nexford's academic honesty policy that is under the Learner Code of Conduct. And previously, academic honesty was mostly about plagiarism and, originality of work. Now, it includes the ethical AI use, as I highlighted portions in the screen. So what does this mean for you as a learner? It means that you can and should use AI. However, you must also be transparent about how you've used it. For every assignment wherein AI is involved, you'll complete a short disclosure form. That is how your professors, that is how we will be able to understand how you're able to showcase your AI knowledge into that specific assignment submission. And take note, this isn't about penalizing you for using AI. It's about building integrity, accountability, and trust, because these are the same qualities that will set you apart in your career. So always remember, the world needs AI professionals, but of course, they need professionals who can do so responsibly. That is why on this specific slide, you can see here that we have also highlighted in our catalog the AI acceptable use policy. So it's not a separate policy, but it's under our Learner Code of Conduct. Now, we are all aware that AI is a powerful tool to assist you for research, brainstorming, outlining your materials, or even helping you with writing. However, it becomes unacceptable when AI-generated work is submitted without proper disclosure, or when you try to pass it as your own work. So, for example, you're going to submit your assignment, and then you will not be disclosing that it's actually with the assistance of AI. You take it as something that is your own work. So similar to plagiarism. But all you have to remember is the message here is simple. AI is just your partner, but it is not totally your substitute. So let's say you forgot about those things. What will happen if you don't follow the policy? As you can see on our screen right now, if the policy isn't followed, then it will also fail. It will also fall under the same category as disciplinary processes in the Learner Code of Conduct. That could mean you can be provided written warnings, academic penalties, and other actions depending on the situation. So always remember, it's very important that you disclose your AI use. You follow our AI acceptable policy, which you don't have to worry about because we'll show you that later on how to do all of those things. But here's the key. Our goal, again, isn't to punish you. It's to support you. If you are unsure, ask questions. If you are worried that you have used AI excessively or in the wrong way, talk to your success advisors or your faculty because we'd much rather guide you than penalize you. Okay? So now you might be wondering, how can I actually apply this policy, this new AI policy, to my learning here at Nexford? So with that, let me call on our Head of Learning Design, Tori, and she will walk us through the changes in your assignments, the AI disclosure form, and the rubrics that will guide you in your assignments. On to you, Tori.
Okay. Thanks, Jamie Beth. Hey, everyone. Really excited to be here today to talk with you all about this. And coming to the webinar shows your commitment to doing the best you can in Nexford and then also extending the skills to your career as well. So yeah, I'm thrilled to be here. So within classes, you tend to have a few different types of assignments, right? And so like the most common type of assignment that you have at Nexford is an individual submission of some sort of project-based assignment. And so the AI policy in action for assignments primarily does apply to these project-based submissions. Maybe it's a report, maybe it's a PowerPoint presentation, maybe it's a video, something along those lines. And so in these assignments now, and the other types of assignments that you might be familiar with that we're not going to discuss today is proctored assignments, as well as anything if you've taken one of our classes that has that harmonized based discussion board in it as well. Those two types of assignments don't apply. So in this case, we're talking specifically about assignment submissions, right? Project submissions. So on these types of assignments now, we are encouraging you to use AI within these assignments. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that we're saying, oh, you can take your assignment prompt, put it directly into ChatGPT or Gemini or Perplexity or whatever you prefer to use and get some sort of output and then submit that into your assignment box. That's not what we mean by saying AI use is allowed and encouraged. Instead, we're saying that AI should be a tool that you use along with critical thinking, original insight, and demonstrating deep understanding of assignment material. And so we've been reworking our assignments, and there are classes that this will start with in September. We've been reworking our assignments to incorporate this new philosophy around AI use so that we're designing the assignments in a way that best sets you up for success with using AI within these assignments. And I also want to emphasize that you have an AI disclosure form in all of the assignments now. So you can actually just go back for a second. So that AI disclosure form that's at the bottom of this assignment. So this screenshot is from a class that has this AI policy in action now through this assignment. So the AI disclosure form that you see here is now going to show up in every single assignment that you have that it's related, that it's relevant within the assignment overview box. So you go into assignment, the very first box that you see with the header is assignment overview. The AI disclosure form, as well as the note on AI evaluation, is present within the assignments. So you will and we will show you what this looks like in action next, you will actually download that AI disclosure form. And there's two different versions of the AI disclosure form. So the first version of the AI disclosure form is for module assignments. And then we have another version that is for final projects. So the final projects one just has a few more questions. It's a little bit more complete, more robust than the module assignment disclosure form. So within this disclosure form here, you can see that the very first question says, did you use any AI tools to help with this assignment? No or yes, right? So when we say we are encouraging AI use, unless your assignment specifically calls out that you have to use AI in that particular assignment, and there are assignments that do that, like I can think of one where you have to work with like a sales AI agent, right? So unless your assignment specifically calls that out, you don't have to use AI. So if you have reasons why you didn't want to use AI in a particular assignment, you just have to explain why. And when you go to the writing lab starting in September for the September term, and there's a section already about AI use where we're teaching about the different tools and prompt engineering and how to use them. There is a section at the top now that has also examples of disclosure forms, because the disclosure form is going to be something that is evaluated on our new rubric structure along with your assignment submission. So you'll see in the writing lab poor, satisfactory, and then excellent examples of disclosure forms. So for example, a poor disclosure form might say like, did you use AI to help with this assignment? No, why not? Because I didn't want to, or because I didn't feel like it. That would be a relatively poor explanation of using why you chose not to use AI. Or if you did choose to use it and you just said, yes, I use ChatGPT, that's also a poor submission. So you'll actually be able to see what we consider poor, good, and then excellent within the writing lab and use that as a guide for how your AI disclosure form would be evaluated according to the new rubric, because the example disclosure forms are also based according to that new rubric. So you have to complete the rest of the questions as well within the disclosure form to the best of your ability. If you say that you didn't use AI in a particular assignment and actually through Turnitin or through other methods that we have your work, and it's actually been detected that AI has been used in the assignment, then your assignment is at risk of failure. So this policy, this policy in action is also expected for academic honesty. And so we're encouraging you to use AI, but you have to tell us how you use it, and you have to be able to show that you still have critical thinking and originality within your assignments. So the AI disclosure form is downloaded from that assignment overview, and then you make sure that you submit it along with your assignment submission. I've seen learners either submit it, learners as like a file, or if it's a written report, some submit it as like the last page within a written document. Either of those are acceptable. If you do forget to submit the disclosure form, because we realize this is an extra step in a new process, if you do forget to submit it, when you submit your assignment submission, you can attach it in the comment box for that assignment so that your instructor is able to still review that disclosure form, and that allows you to submit it without worrying about needing to open up a ticket for a resubmit. Okay, great. So then this is the rubric that is going to be at the bottom of all of these assignments within Canvas that you can review. So this rubric is significantly different than, I would say, rubrics that you might have seen in the past at Nexford. So the first way that it's significantly different is that it is just much more detailed. So you should have a much clearer sense, and also your instructor should have a much clearer sense of what's expected of you within a particular assignment. So, some old rubrics that you might have seen at Nexford might say something like met all requirements, or completed all content, or writing in syntax is like professional, right? Very, very almost generic based expectations of rubrics. Now the rubric is really detailed. So this particular rubric example, the first 5 criteria that are in the rows there that are all worth 11 points, they tie up into the first pillar of what we consider to be our 3-pillared rubric at Nexford now. So the first pillar is about demonstrating your learning outcomes, and this doesn't take into account AI really at all yet at this point. And so 55% of the overall score within our new rubric structure is related to your demonstration of the learning outcome and mastery of the module content and application of it within the particular assignment. So this assignment, the 11 points, that adds up to 55%. And so within Canvas, we're unable to really do the points to average percentages within a rubric. And so this is a way for us to have the math work out without having the pillars directly in Canvas, but just know that when you see a rubric in Canvas, it is connected to this 3-pillared model that Nexford now follows. So those first 5 criteria there go into pretty significant detail within an actual rubric about what is what is a meets expectation, what is a mostly meets, what is a somewhat meets, and then what is a does not meet expectation within our rubric structure. And instructors can still use SpeedGrader and comments in like rubric ranges as well. So that is remaining the same from the previous way that we used rubrics. The next part of the rubric pillar is about AI usage, disclosure, and reflection. So this is one row within your rubric. And this AI usage, disclosure, and reflection is heavily tied to the disclosure form that you submit. And so that is worth 25% of your overall grade within a particular assignment. And so that's why it's extremely important that when you review the examples within the writing lab of what is a poor, good, and excellent module disclosure form or final project disclosure form, that you are trying to model your work after the best or even above what we have in there as an excellent example, because we care a lot to see your thought process behind using AI. Why did you decide to use it? Where did you decide to use it? And it could extend even beyond generative AI if you're using any kind of presentation software, if you use Copilot for something, if you end up using some sort of video tool, if you end up using, some sort of process workflow, depending on database creation, depending on what the assignment calls for. And so we really care to see what your thinking is and your application of AI, and it could extend beyond LLMs like ChatGPT and Gemini. So that's worth 25 points within your overall assignment. So that's 25% of your assignment. And the rubric really spells out what an excellent use of AI usage and disclosure and reflection looks like. And then the final pillar of the rubric is about synthesis and contextualization. So, one of the most important skills that you will learn and that you should be able to demonstrate at Nexford and also in the workplace is the ability to synthesize information from multiple sources, to make coherent arguments, to put together disparate sources of information and have them make sense, to generate new insights from different resources that you've read, right? That's all really, really important. And so this last 20% is divided into 2 rows within the rubric. The first is about integration of sources, original insight, and citing. So this is obviously you still need to cite within your work. And so this is where the citations are evaluated, but it's also where we are evaluating for how you're integrating sources together, how you're making those coherent arguments, how you're taking some of what AI did, some of what you did, maybe something you read along the way, and putting it together into a novel package that, let's be honest, has never been created before, because everybody's work should be unique to them, right? And so that's what the 10 points are there. And then the final 10 points there about ethical and critical application is a more holistic overview of how you're using AI and how you're viewing the use of information and the use of AI ethically within your assignments, and then how you're able to critically think and tie all of these skills together. So that is what our new rubric structure looks like. Just to sum it up, it is 3 key pillars. The first pillar is the demonstration of learning outcomes. That tends to be anywhere from 3 to 5 rows, depending on how many we need to cover what's expected in that particular assignment. That's worth 55%. There is the effective and proficient engagement with AI. That is 1 row within the rubric. That is worth 25% of your overall grade, and that is heavily reliant on having high quality disclosure forms. And then the third pillar in the rubric is about synthesis and contextualization. That's worth 20% of your overall grade, and that is divided into 2 rows of 10 points each to get to a total of 100 points. Now, you might get into assignments and see, like, for example, if a class has a harmonized assignment, then there tends to be a part A and a part B to a weekly assignment, to a module assignment. So like module 3 maybe has a part A and a part B because it's using harmonize. In those cases, you might see that instead of being out of 100 points, it's out of 75 points because the harmonized assignment is out of 25. So your total point for that module assignment is still 100, but it's just broken down a little bit differently. But by and large, you'll see it as 100 points. So that covers from a learning design perspective, what we're looking at with our new AI policy that's actually in action. So these are the classes in September that you can expect to see the new assignments. There is a new page added to the module overview within a class that provides some guidance on AI usage as well. So that page is there. The new assignment structure is there with the disclosure form, with the new rubric, with reminders, hopefully everywhere. Remember to submit the disclosure form, and also the writing lab as a resource for you to know what a high quality disclosure form looks like, or to even get more information about how to use these AI tools effectively and what appropriate use looks like when it's still combined with your own critical thinking and understanding. So you'll see that there is mostly graduate classes on here, but there is one undergraduate class, PBS 2250, is on here because we've recently revised the class. So we've incorporated the new policy structure with the assignments in that class.
Okay. Thank you, Tori. So as Tori mentioned, we'll be rolling this out in phases, and that is starting September. So if, for example, right now you're logged into your Canvas and you don't see any AI requirements yet, that's fine. And don't worry because they're on the way. This phased rollout will allow us to refine the process and give both learners and the faculty members a chance to adapt smoothly. So now, of course, to make sure that you all feel supported on this AI journey, we have put together several resources in place designed specifically for you. Number one is that we have our new generative AI foundations for Nexford learners. This is your entry point to the world of AI. It doesn't just teach you what AI is, but it actually shows you how to use it in practical, responsible, and creative ways. So in this course, you'll learn how to write better prompts, evaluate AI outputs, and apply these tools to your coursework. Now, think of it as your AI toolkit, giving you the confidence and skills that employers are already looking for. Now, if you are unsure how to use AI, you have questions about the policy, you're unsure about how you will be evaluated, your go-to section will be your Ask NXU widget found in your Canvas dashboard. That is your on-demand knowledge hub. Now, anytime that you're unsure about the policies in general, or even the AI policy, acceptable use, our evaluation, the rubrics, just type in the words AI use into the widget, and you'll gain instant access to our FAQs, the guides that we have prepared, and quick answers to your questions. This will help you stay compliant with the policies, and at the same time, giving you the clarity that you need and the peace of mind that you are actually doing well in your assignments. And then finally, we also have the writing lab. We've been mentioning this since the beginning. It has been updated with the AI focused content. Inside, you'll find all of these topics. We have the how to critically use AI tools like ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Perplexity, and so on. And you also see there the guidance on things like media legitimacy, image and video verification, and lateral reading. And this resource isn't, just there to help you write better. It helps you become more critical, sharper, ensuring that you assess the AI tools that you are using or the AI outputs before you actually put them or incorporate them in your work. Now, all of these resources are here, and just make sure that you just don't use AI, but you use it well. As mentioned earlier, you have to use it ethically, responsibly, because in that way, it will strengthen your studies and your career in general. And of course, if the resources are not enough, you have your faculty members, you have your success advisors. We are always here and available to guide you throughout the process. Okay, so quick recap for everyone. Again, AI is now a core part of your learning at Nexford. It matters because the employers demand it, because learners like you also have asked for it, and because it prepares you for the demand of the workplace. So your role as learners is to use AI responsibly, disclose when you have used it, and see it as a partner in your growth. However, our role on our end is to provide you with the resources, guidance, and make sure that you are supported for your success. So, our call to you is simple: embrace AI, experiment with it, and learn to use it with confidence and integrity, because that is how we will all stand out as professionals. So, that is the end of our presentation. If you would like to know more about the policy, feel free to check our catalog. That is catalog.nexford.edu. And if you have questions, clarifications, you would like to have a session with a success advisor, or you would like to send your queries to us, feel free to navigate to our support hub, support.nexford.edu, and we'll be very happy to provide assistance or advising sessions as needed. So before we end, we're opening the floor to any questions that you may have. Feel free to type it in the chat box so we can address them.
I see there are a few questions in the chat box about, how you are allowed to use AI and what you should put in the disclosure form for different types of usages. And also, how do we know that you're using it? So we do, as you know, we have been using Turnitin for a while, and we will continue using it as well as some other tools that we have at our disposal. And mostly that's about evaluating how you're using AI and sort of how much you're using it to apply to different types of different parts of the project. For example, are you using it for research? Are you using it to just edit and rewrite your work, or are you actually generating content? These are all things that can fairly reliably be determined. The actual percentage of how much you're using, okay, that's not something we're interested in, evaluating, because as Jamie has mentioned many times, this is not about penalizing you, right? This is about teaching you how to use it effectively. So the bottom line is, just say I used it for all of these different reasons, right, or points. And actually in the disclosure form, we do ask you in one of the questions to insert your prompt or your initial prompts that you use. And then just to explain how you maybe iterated, right, on that output from the initial prompt to end up with your final result. So this is really about getting you to think about the process. And ultimately what this will help you do is to use AI more effectively, because you're thinking about what works and what doesn't. And then also, as you'll see in the final project disclosure form, you might be thinking about how this applies to work. And if I can do something 100% with AI, then is that a skill that that I need to figure out, like, how to supplement or how to provide my own insights to, so that it's valuable, right, when I'm doing that on the job. So it is something that we're trying to incorporate in there. And the bottom line is, if you have any questions about the disclosure form, we did try to provide some very detailed examples that you can rely on, and they're all within the writing lab, right? And then always, as Jamie said, your instructors, success team, we're all here to help you along the way. Someone asked, I know assignments can only be submitted once and you can only upload one document. Is there a separate means to submit the AI form, or can multiple documents be uploaded now? Yes, you can upload multiple documents. So you will be able to upload them in the same form. If you forget, because that's I think when you're learning how to do this, it is a new policy and we realize that. Let's go back here. You forget, don't worry. And if you forget and you don't remember before your instructor reviews it, our instructors will be reminding you and asking you to attach the assignment submission form to the comment box. So you will not need to, submit a support request to have it added. You can add it there, and they have all been trained to be able to review that as well, to grade the disclosure form along with your assignment submission. But you are allowed to submit more than one document in e-assignments now. Let's see, the next question. I'm curious as to what percentage of AI should be used, especially when we submit an assignment. What percentage of AI should it reflect?
But we are doing a little less focus on the percentage, but the requirement for you to disclose is the important piece, right? That you are using AI ethically and effectively, and you've disclosed how you've done that. And faculty are to rely less on the Turnitin AI percentage and more on how you've described how you've used it. They will be using Turnitin as an indicator of where they may need to look more closely, but not as a requirement for the grading guideline. Also, there was a comment about the similarity score. So the Turnitin application reviews not only similarity, but AI, but they're two different things, right? So similarity is picking up and flagging any items that you've taken from any web source or from another NXU learner. And it tells us what percentage of the document is similar to other sources. So again, paraphrasing, using your in-text citations, not using other learners' information. But if there is a template, the template may flag as similarity. But faculty are asked and trained to not consider that as part of the Turnitin similarity score. So I did see a question in the comments about that. Yes, we train towards that, and we expect faculty to manually calculate what percentage of the document was similar due to the template. So the AI percentage score is that determination from the Turnitin tool of its comparison to AI outputs and how similar it is to the work that you've submitted. So again, for AI, less focus on that percentage score, but for similarity, we will continue to uphold that requirement of not using, similar sources without proper documentation and paraphrasing.
And the next question in here is, I've seen a few times as well, is whether a student is allowed to submit an assignment they wrote themselves if AI was only used to refine grammar, spelling, and vocabulary.
So as long as you are using your disclosure form, you can indicate that you used Grammarly or another tool to help you with your spelling and your grammar, but it can't take away the context of your own original work, right? So some of those tools may improve the grammar and improve the context too, right? So then it moves away from what your original thought was. So as long as you use it for the spelling and the grammar, and you disclose on the form how you've used it, it is still acceptable use. But if it's changing your thoughts and expanding upon them and going into more detail than what you originally had input, and that wasn't disclosed, then that may be an area in which you would be deducted points.
There's nothing wrong with using AI to generate content. Somebody else asked a similar question about that. Is that ethical use? Yes, it's fine. And you know what? We would expect, like most employers do, that you are going to be using AI in ways that will help you be more efficient and produce higher quality work at this, faster rate. That's just the bottom line for business today. And so we want to make sure you're prepared for that. But the key is this disclosure form, and we keep coming back to it because it is not about penalizing anybody if you say, yes, I used it and I wrote the whole thing with AI, right? That's maybe a perfectly fine use. But we do want you to reflect on the rest of the pieces. What was your prompt? How did you add to it to get the final output, right? Like what thinking, what additional prompting did you use to get to that final output? And then also, did you verify the output? Because AI can hallucinate. It's very well known. And as Anne also mentioned, it's possible that even if you're just using it to improve your grammar, it can change the context or the meaning of your work. So did you review what the output was, and did you verify the sources that it may have included in the output and any of the facts that it may have inserted? That's something we want you to reflect on. It's ethical to do that, but it is ethical and proper use of AI to make sure you're verifying that output, right, for accuracy and that it's conveying what you were trying to get across.
So another question is around using AI to help generate your ideas. Yes, that is definitely ethical and effective use of AI, right? So it can help you create an outline. It can help you, you can enter in, some of the prompts to help, do the idea generation. But as long as you don't take the full output of please compose a paper with these following criteria, and you take that full output and you put it in, that's still 100% AI use. That's not ethical, that's not effective, but having it help you create an idea or an outline or using it as a template for you to fill in your thoughts. And as Tori had described as part of the rubric, you still need to meet the learning outcomes. You need to demonstrate the effective use of AI and document and disclose that. But you also have to synthesize, right? So you need to do the synthesis. You need to contextualize your thoughts and your alignment with how the AI was used. If you've used any output from AI, you should be verifying that the source that AI has provided you is also a real source, and that you need to cite the use of that AI tool and the output within the body of your document and on your reference page, right? You can't still take something that isn't your own work and plop it in or use it in your document and consider it your own, right? So you still have to document your sources as well. So hope that clarifies.
Yeah, can I just add one thing to that, Anne, which is
Please
about
do.
the idea generation? So, I think it's somewhat akin to you get assigned a project and you have to come up with your own topic, or you need to come up with your own approach, maybe company, these kinds of things. Before using AI, you would go to maybe an encyclopedia or Wikipedia or a Google search to do some background research to try to come up with, what are some ideas I could investigate in this space, right? And so you would maybe type in some keywords, or you would maybe ask a question of whatever you're getting at, and then maybe that's not good enough. And then you think, okay, what are some other words I can use here? Because I'm not seeing the results that I want to see, right? And so I think, with idea generation, it's just AI is another tool that you can use for that idea generation. But just like Anne said, with checking the sources that the AI is using, or what Zara said about AI is potentially hallucinating, I think it's just one tool really in your arsenal that you should be using to do things like idea generation.
Yes, so that was good clarification. There are other questions about how to cite an AI sample. So in the writing lab, I think we have that as well. but maybe we can put that sample into the chat or in the comments. But you do have, according to the APA guidelines, which we use our NXU citation guidelines, right, which mirror to most guidelines provided by APA. So APA has come out with a way to properly cite AI as a source. And if someone can quickly put that in the chat from the NXU team, that would be great. If not, you can find that in the writing lab under this AI module section as well. So give us a minute and we can put a sample here in the chat. But
if you aren't very accustomed to using AI a lot, and just from what we know of our learners, we think that actually our learner population is pretty forward thinking and already using AI quite a bit. So I think that you might find some of the information in the generative AI for Nexford learners redundant, or you might already know it. But I would encourage all of you anyways to take the courses that are in there. They're all very short. They consist of LinkedIn learning courses that we have curated, no longer than 30 minutes is the longest, okay? And these will add to your understanding. I think even as a pretty expert, AI user, that, I found some of the information to be very helpful and got me thinking in a different way. But we don't just focus on AI in there. We are also focusing on their specific, what they call human skills now, that employers are looking for. And there is a small course in there, a short course that will guide you through how to develop those in the age of AI. How are they changing? How do people expect you to think critically now versus maybe 5 years ago, right? So they're all very useful, and they are all very much geared towards making sure that we give you the best chance possible to achieve your career goals, especially now as the world is changing, the business world is changing.
Okay, great. Thank you for adding that sample. One more comment as well is that the faculty too have been trained, right? So they've received training on how to interpret the rubric, to determine if the disclosure form accurately reflects the output that you've submitted. So they too have gone through a similar training. For September, this isn't just new for learners, it's new for faculty. So as people adjust, they'll become more fluent in how they quickly are able to grade. So there may be a little bit more time needed for faculty who are grading using the new rubric, but also trying to interpret your disclosure form. There will be time for learners who you maybe have forgotten the disclosure form, and you'll be asked to submit that within the comment box. So there may be a delay in grading because faculty are not to grade the assignment without the disclosure form. So it's very important that you remember to submit that at the time of submission of your assignment. We do have, and maybe it's something we can add to the writing lab, a video on how to submit more than one document, right? So when you go to your Dropbox, you submit your assignment, you can also submit your disclosure form. If you forget, the disclosure form can go in the comment box. If you forget your assignment but submit your disclosure form, things don't always work in reverse, right? So you do still have to adhere to the deadlines of the courses, the resubmission policy. So be sure that the assignment is what you attach first, but that the disclosure form is also submitted. So we'll make note to add that video to the writing lab. Okay, other questions? Again, as Jamie Beth has indicated, if you have questions as you go through your September courses, feel free to reach out to your faculty, reach out to your essay team, reference the writing lab, ask the NXU widget for support. Go through that generative AI course that Zara has curated from LinkedIn. If you have other questions, I do see the question now here about the disclosure form available for all courses or select courses. So the select courses for September, if we want to go back to that list, are the courses that have the new rubric, the new disclosure form attached within the assignment and the additional assignment expectations. So these are the courses that are starting with the full scope of the AI rollout. For other courses that do not have the integration directly into the content of the module assignment, we will be allowing learners to still be able to use the disclosure form for all other courses and assignments to describe how you've used it. But that disclosure form will be found in the writing lab. So you can simply download that, keep it as a template on your desktop, use it for all other courses for where you have used AI. So, and it will be here in the writing lab where you can find that disclosure form. So only in the courses that we've discussed today will it be handy, right in with the assignment. For all the other courses, you can find the form for your use in the writing lab. I hope this has been helpful. Again, this will be recorded and put into the writing lab for your reference as well. Should you have questions going forward, please reach out to the resources that we've described today. Otherwise, this will be an exciting time for all of us at Nexford, for our learners, for our faculty, and essentially for our employers. I do see a hand raised. I'm hoping those are people just trying to give us a thumbs up. So if you have questions, put them in the chat. If after this meeting you do still have questions, again, reach out to your success advisor in advance of your September course starting. And once the courses start, you can reach out to your faculty as well. Otherwise, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you, and we hope that this is a successful launch.